Hello, today we're going to be talking about the SBA Form 413, as indicated on the bottom here in the footer. First thing we want to do is take a look at the expiration date and make sure that we're completing the application on a current form. Every so often they'll update this form. This one is going to be current until next year. First field is an as of date. And this is going to be as typically the previous month. So we want the full month's value. So in this case, we're looking at February 29th, since we had a leap year, 2020. And as we get into filling out the form 413, best practices is to have all your documentation ready to go so that you can fill this all out in one sitting. Which means that you're looking for all your bank accounts, retirement accounts, any documents that show the value, any stocks, bonds, or other mutual funds, life insurance policies, pay stubs for you and your spouse, and any other statements or details that might be able to source out your income, pensions, real estate. And if you have access to your credit report, then it can list all the liabilities that may be on your credit report and make sure that you get that filled out when you're working on through the liability side. Okay, the name here, this is going to be what's indicated on your tax return. So if you're filing jointly with a spouse, it's going to be both names that will be here. If you're an individual just filing a individual return, then it's going to be your name to match what's on your tax return. So for our example here, we have a spouse, let's say Greg and Sally Smith. Okay, the business telephone number, if it's listed, can be your cell phone. If it's your cell phone, that's fine. Okay, just making things up. This is my home address. My home phone, again, maybe it's a cell phone number. This is my home address as well, state. The business name. So this is the business name that I'm an owner, as they say up here, proprietor, general partner, or managing member of a limited liability company. So those folks who are owning at least 20%, they're going to fill out this form. Hey, in the asset column, this is my cash on hand in banks. So this is going to be checking accounts. And because it's jointly here, even if we held individual accounts, we would add these together. So maybe I have $8,500 total in my cash that's held in checking accounts. Savings accounts. This would include CDs and money market. IRA or other retirement accounts, 401k. So in this instance, my spouse has a 401k at the company that she works for. Maybe it's worth $25,000. Accounts and note receivable. This line would be used if I had a note that, or a loan, say to a friend or family member, that we had an actual note that was drawn up, scheduled payments, some sort of legal document that they owed me that money, then I could claim that as an asset. The life insurance, this is going to be cash surrender value only, so it's typically going to be a whole life policy, where if you were to cancel the account, that it would have some sort of surrender value. So say 25,000 here, maybe about 20,000. Say maybe it's a 250,000 policy that I've been putting money into for the last 10 years. Maybe it has a cash surrender value of about 20,000. Stocks and bonds, this would be any brokerage trade account, Fidelity, Vanguard, whatever, whoever you're trading with, whatever that value might be. Real estate, this is going to be market value. Primary residence, if you own one, and then other investment or real estate property would all go into this. This is going to be as of a date, and in this case, we're looking at February 29th, what the value of that property might be, whether it's Zillow, Redfin, something like that. Automobiles, this would be a blue book value. So for instance, if I were to try and liquidate my automobiles, maybe I own 2 of them. These are not leased vehicles. These vehicles aren't going to have any value here. Other personal property. This is antiques, other items that I have possession of that have some marketable value if I were to liquidate. Maybe some comic book collection, something else that I'm able to sell. Other assets, something else that may not fit in one of those other categories, which you might be able to put into that one area. Maybe it's a different business that you have some ownership of, or some other account that doesn't fit in one of these other criteria, would go under other assets, and you would describe it then in section 5, which we'll get to. You're going to total all of these. Total current assets, 500 or so. Okay, now we take a look at our liabilities. Accounts payable would be some maybe you took possession of a piece of equipment, but they're going to send you an invoice that you have to pay at some point in the future. That would be an example of an account payable. For most people, it's here. It's this notes payable and banks to others. This is going to be your credit cards. So you're going to list the totals in your credit cards that you have here. Other personal lines. That's why it's good to have your credit report if you have it available, so you can take a look at all of them together. Maybe a $15,000 in credit card debt. My automobile, this is what the total is on the note currently. So 2 vehicles, maybe I owe $13,000. Total monthly payments, $450. My installment account, this is going to be anything that I owe, typically longer than 1 year, something that I owe on. For most people, this is student loan debt. Say I have $35,000 in student loan debt, and this would be my current monthly payments on that debt. Loans against a life insurance policy. So if you have a whole life insurance policy, you can borrow against that amount. So maybe you've borrowed $10,000 or something against cash values or cash surrender value. That would go here if you need to pay it back. Mortgages on the real estate. That's how much I owe. So again, this is the note as of February 29th, what I owe. Unpaid taxes. This is property and personal tax line item. So just completed my 19 tax returns. Maybe I owe money in 2020 that I haven't paid yet. This would be where you would list that liability. Other liabilities, it's anything that doesn't fit in those other buckets. Maybe it's informal loans to friends or family, or other possible litigation. Maybe you're party to a lawsuit and there's something that you're going to owe. this instance, tally up my liabilities. Okay, my net worth is going to be my assets minus my liabilities. 240, 100. And then we add these two numbers together, and I should get 5,500. Okay, next section here, section 1. This is my sources of income. It's important to note that this salary portion, it's W-2 or 1099 income only. So this is not going to include officer salaries, disbursements from the company, draws, things like that. That's going to go down here. So for my salary, my spouse, W-2 employee, making $85,000 a year. Net investment income, this is going to include interest, maybe dividends from my stocks and bonds. So maybe it's $100 a year. Real estate income would include rental properties, net. So I'd have to work through a schedule and see what my net income on my rental properties would be. That would go here. Other income, this would then be officer's salary. So maybe part of the corporation that I have ownership in with my spouse, 50-50, but I'm paid a officer's salary, $50,000. That would go in this line item. Contingent liabilities, as an endorser or co-maker on a note. So is this something where I borrowed money, my spouse borrowed money, a friend, a relative, that there's formal papers that were drawn up? My party to a lawsuit, any claims, legal judgments would go here. Provisions for federal income tax. So for 2020, I know I'm going to owe taxes, and so I'm going to start squirreling away some money. Maybe I'm going to put $3,500 in a holding account to pay taxes for next year. And other special debt really is any other debt that you could think of that may not fit in these other buckets. Description of other income in section 1. So here I want to explain what this is. Right. This is going to be officer's salary, so $50,000. This is officer's salary. Okay. This could include alimony, child support, other disbursements. So if that's the case, you would add it all up and then describe what it is below. Okay, section 2 here, notes payable banks to others. This is more description of this 15,000 right here, because this is, you're adding everything up. So you drop into this bucket. For most of us, it's credit cards. Right? Card 1. The original credit card balance was 0 when you applied for it. Now, unfortunately, I owe $10,000. My payment, $225, $220. This is monthly. And how is it held? Most credit cards are going to be unsecured. Maybe you have some other type of debt payable that they've secured some sort of asset to it, and you need to list it there. What the collateral was. Card number 2, 0 balance. This is $5,000. I owe $25 a month. Monthly unsecured. Okay, again, so that's $15,000. It's going to equal this amount here. Stocks and bonds. This is in reference to this line item here. So $10,000 in stocks and bonds. So I would print out my brokerage account as of February 29th, the values, and list them all here, but in this case, what do I have? 100 shares of Google. Original cost, maybe it was $50. I have no idea. I haven't looked at Google lately. 100. This was as of February 29th, 2020. It's a total value of $10,000. You just see, you would just list the number of shares. If you need more space, you would just expand this out, Excel sheet, make an attachment. Real estate owned. If I own properties, my primary residence. Rental property, land. What is it? Vacation home, second home. Home address. Okay, date purchased. 9/1/2016. Original cost $750,000. Present market value $850,000. Okay, this is the name and address of the mortgage holder, so whether it's a servicing company or who it is, right? Wells. You're going to put the name and address, whoever holds that note, account number, current balance as of the end of February. What's my monthly payment? If it includes taxes and insurance, right? If you have an impound account, paying taxes and insurance, that's going to be included here. A month. What's that? $54,000 for the year. Status of my mortgage. Am I current? Am I in default? Foreclosure? Yeah, that's what you're going to put here. If I have other properties, I would schedule them out. B and C, it's the same way. Section 5, other personal property and other assets. So this is pulling in all these different ones. See all these section 5, section 5, section 5. Okay, section 5, section 5. All those you're going to detail out where those values are coming from. Year, make, and model of the vehicles. Okay, other personal property. You know, it's not listing every piece of clothing that you own, but it's, you know, those that would have some marketable or measurable value property. You're going to want to detail out in antiques, artwork. Okay, my IRA account, it's going to be account number, where it's being held. Okay. It's all going to go in this piece here, just a narrative. Details. Section 6, unpaid taxes. That's this amount here. Most important is if you're on a payment plan, you need to detail that out. That indicates to, you know, a loan officer that you've already taken the necessary steps on any unpaid taxes, that you have an agreement with the IRS. Other liabilities, it's here. Anything that didn't fit one of these buckets and you dropped into other liabilities. Section 8 is life insurance. It's this here. Okay, I'm just going to detail out surrender value, name of insurance company beneficiaries. Okay, and that's about it. It's important to understand that you are signing a legally binding document. criminal penalties, administrative remedies, right, for false statements. Just understand that they will verify the numbers. They expect that everything on there is truthful and to the best of your knowledge. Signature and date with Social Security. Print your name, and then for your spouse if you're filing jointly. And that concludes the SBA Form 413.